Pom, we've got Cerra.
Cerra, Adam Cerra.
Cerra. I just don't think
Don't
you
think you
understand.
understand. We've got him, man. I mean, how many times have we been in this situation as a football fraternity? Trade period comes around, Italian-based midfielder. He's a lock to come to Carlton. The media have even started putting Carlton Guernseys on him. And we're on the last day of the trade window and we're like, will he? But we've got what? Ages. We've got 3 days till the trade window ends and we've landed one.
Yeah, that's the crazy part. We've done all the work. I mean, there's room for more, but I mean, this video is really based around Adam Cerra. I mean, there was talk about it. We spoke about it throughout the year. There was a rumor about it circling for some time now that he was going to come home. And to be honest, I really didn't believe that he was going to come to Carlton. That was the honest truth. I just thought it was the typical story of the year when a player wants to either come back to Victoria or just move clubs. Well, Carlton's always, linked with with everyone, but it's real. And like, he's here and he looks good. He suits the bill. He's Italian. He's got some nice, juicy eyebrows, and we love them here at Blue Abroad.
He's got the green ticks of everything we look for, hasn't he, in the player?
He does.
I think what impressed me is I just actually, before we did this, watched his interview, and he's a really intelligent boy as well. Like he gave me Sam Walsh vibes and Jacob Wheatering vibes. That kind of, he's articulate. He knows what he wants. He doesn't waffle. He just gets straight to the point. I loved his chat about family and how important it is to him and how big a support network they were while he was interstate and how he's excited about playing in front of them every week. Now he's back home. Them little things and the way they speak, he kind of fits into that gradient of the players that we seem to have a lot of, the Wheaterings and the new modern day leaders of our club. Seems to slot into that straight away as well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, when we look at the end of 2021, and it's just obviously been some may call it a wasted year. I would agree with that. Just a nothing year, or I guess no year is worth nothing because you don't find out what the value is until later. But as it stands right now, it really was a wasted opportunity for a list that we do believe can perform a lot better than what it did. But the talk around our midfield at the end of this season and up until the last few days has been, well, we're not really deep in there, and that's really where everything was breaking down this year. And on paper, you were looking at it, and a lot of us were saying, all right, well, we know Cripps is good enough to stand up to the Western Bulldogs and Melbourne, for example. Walsh can slot in there and be confident slotting in there. And then it was kind of like, okay, well, 1 week it might be Ed Kerno. Matt Kennedy showed some things towards the end of the year. Dow showed some things towards the end of the year. All of a sudden, you add Hewitt, Cerra into that midfield mix, and you're pretty confident that those four can really stand up against what the competition has. And then there's that hope that the others can improve.
Oh, usually we're looking at the players, aren't we? We do this. We've done this. We're veterans of this, Terry. We're veterans at taking a shit year and trying to find some hope that's already on the list by adding a bit of hope that some mug will choose Carlton and actually come. So to be in the position, this is a rare position for us that someone we've been begging for has come, and he's actually there now. We've actually got him under lock and key. He's in a cave somewhere in Voss's house. He can't leave. So, but he is instantly a talent, isn't he? He's a brand name. And like you say, that midfield now, Cerra, Cripps, Walsh and Hewitt, they're brand names, which is really important, I think, to think about that. They're brand names. They're names that, Richmond round one ain't looking at that and going, oh, there's a few weak links there. They're actually looking at that now and thinking, Jesus, they're pretty good. And especially Richmond, you've got to remember this year, round 20, 33 touches, 8 marks and 6 tackles from Cerra against them. He single-handedly pulled them apart. He did in that game. He was a huge cog. So he's a name as well recently, particularly the back end of the year. It's interesting, Hewitt and Cerra were 2 of the top-ranked midfielders in the back end of last year. So if they can carry that form into next year, in a team now where you'd say Cerra is one of the main men, he was always kind of the next best at Fremantle, obviously behind the great five. Now he'll be looking and thinking, you know what, I'm with Walsh now. We're the men in this midfield. Cripper's going to be our provider, and we're the big boys. We're the guys
Well,
who are the excitement.
yeah, and that's what I want to go deep into because okay, he's at the club now, fantastic. I'm excited. We're all excited, but I want to be very wary of like what are the expectations? I mean, he's reportedly the salary is at about 600K a year for 4 years, whatever the case may be. But you're at Carlton, there's expectation from everybody, from president all the way down to fans. What are we going to at? What is he going to actually do for this group?
I mean, I think when you look at just his like midfield numbers alone, so if we look at Adam Cerra this year, and we look at where when he's been stuck in the furnace of the
Mm,
midfield, he was averaging 27 touches, 3.8 tackles, just under a goal a game. This is the kind of Adam Cerra we know when he's the main man. When Fremantle have said, right, you're an on baller now. This is where you live in. You're here, and then you're floating on the wing. They're elite numbers. That they ain't Mickey Mouse pretend numbers. Like with Zach Williams last year, you had to find a couple of games where he's been in the midfield. You're talking a good percentage of Cerra's games in the last 2 years have been on the ball. And
mm,
they are spectacular numbers. Them numbers alone that we just said, 27 touches, zero point 0.8 goals a game, 3.8 tackles. That is what we're looking for. We're crying out for another Sam Walsh type because a lot of these teams now have two Sam Walsh type players. He's 4.3 clearances as well, really add into that as well. So I think straight away now, Carlton have created a problem for the opposition. That old saying, no Cripps, no Carlton. Last year it was no Walsh, no Carlton. Now you're going to have to take three guys out. And
mm,
presumably, I imagine with Cripps, look at Ollie Wines. That's one thing that I think no one's talking about. Ollie Wines, the year he was being traded to Carlton, the criticisms in the press was he was slow, he was arborous, he just gets the ball out. The game's gone past him. Poor play, a free flowing game. We know Voss was a big part of that change of him going back to basics, is what Wines said at the Brownlow. It was me going back to my basics and understanding what I am. Voss has already identified that and said Cripps has too much responsibility, too much is expected on him. It's about doing the basics well. Suddenly, you've got a huge problem if I'm Richmond, if I'm Sydney, if I'm Melbourne. I can't stop Cripps, Walsh, and Cerra. I can stop one of them and then throw in George Hewitt. What we're looking for Cerra is to basically break these lines, attack the game, because that's what he's good at. When he's attacking the footy and going inside 50, it's when he is brilliant. And now he's going to have the opportunity at Carlton, and he's probably going to be, him and Walsh are going to be looking to run the show, a bit like Track does, a bit like Petrarca and Oliver do when they're playing well at Melbourne. We want that combination, two guys that are dominating.
mm. When I picture Chera, and I've listened to his interview, I've listened to Michael Voss talk about him, and more specifically about wanting to put him in a position where he's delivering I think he referred to it as the money ball into Harry Mackay and Charlie Curnow and the like. So that entry kick inside 50. That's what I picture him as. That I picture George Hewitt positioning himself defensive side of a centre stoppage, for example, and Adam Chera offensive with Walsh in there as well, and Cripps, whatever the makeup is. But yeah, I do look at him as a good user of the footy moving forward.
Oh, mate, I mean, he was averaging 6.4 score involvements in the last 5 rounds of the competition. I mean, and the majority of them were his kicks inside 50 that resulted in scores. He delivers the football well, and what he does is look at the forwards he's got at Fremantle. Yet we're not comparing apples with apples. We're comparing apples with a sirloin steak at Carlton. He's got Curnow, he's got Mackay. These guys ain't your Matt Taberniers. Do you know what I mean? These are real footballers, not pretend ones. So
Well,
suddenly, Cerra looks ahead of him, and he's not seeing one of the best forwards of the comp. He's seeing the reigning Coleman medalist. And then he's seeing the freak himself, Charlie Curnow, with another pre-season under his belt, back to his best. Cerra will be licking his lips. Will be licking his lips because Freo have no one near the talent of Sam Walsh helping him get the ball. And they've got nowhere near the talent of Harry and Charlie there. So suddenly, It's a recipe for disaster if you're the opposition. Cerra, mark my words, when Carlton win a flag, I guarantee you he's one of the 2 best on ground when we win that flag in the final.
Love it. No, yeah. Look, it's exciting. And the other thing as well. Not only has Chera said it, but Hewitt has said it. They all talk about the Carlton list and the talent and the people that are already here. So those players and those people who are on the inside. Obviously for us fans and not even any Carlton person, whether you're a player or not, we've underperformed, but there is a lot to work with there. And we've had a complete clean out. Everyone, it seems, has a fresh slate because there's no more. Obviously David Teague was part of the Bolton regime, and he had buddies with Mitch and Eddie, and there was a lot of that, and there was a lot of accusations about he wasn't able to make the tough calls and helping out his mates. Whereas there's no more of that. And I know Chair is new to Carlton and Hewitt, he's new to Carlton, but they're all new to Voss, every single one of them. So it really is a fresh opportunity for everyone involved.
Yeah, I mean, the catchphrase at the moment from a lot of the fans is, we've heard it all before, talk is cheap. It's a recycled catchphrase that Carlton fans always say. The new one from the club, though, I think is interesting. The hard work begins now. We've never heard that before. I haven't. I've longed for someone to actually say, you know what we're dishing out to you members is pig shit. Maybe we need to start earning our coin. And that is the messaging coming from Voss, from Luke Sayers, more importantly, and not just by pretty little email, by my face on the camera saying we need to improve. And I like that. That turns me on as a fan, because that's what champion clubs say. They say, you know what, here I am. I'm not hiding behind pretty emojis. This is me, and I'm telling you, we need to work hard. And Cerra fits the bill, because I think what excites me about Cerra is 750k. And then his agent, Carlton and Frio, confirm that, he's actually accepted less than we offered him to come to Carlton. Which says to me something different about Zach Williams. Would Zach Williams, if Carlton rang him now and said, look, we need you to drop down to 600k to sign Walsh, would he do it? Would he have come? But Cerra has wanted to come for less money than he was offered, and less money than the other Melbourne clubs were willing to offer him. That says a lot about Cerra's here for the right reasons, which really excites me, because that means he's not blowing smoke up my arse going, Cripps is good, Walsh is good. He's actually proved it by taking 150k less over 4 years, which, do the maths on that. That's a year's salary he's on now. He's given up. That's a lot of money. I don't think I'd be hard pressed to give up 600k. And I love this club. I love this club. So he's a strong man. He's taken a big risk, because you'd say Fremantle this year are in a good position. That's a big show of faith for me. And that is something to get excited about. We need to get excited. We need to get really excited about Adam Cerra.
Yeah, it all comes down to the common theme I'm seeing with a lot of the communication over this, this off season is about going back to a values approach. And you mentioned it before, Cerra, with his family, and it's very important to him, taking less of a financial, of a financial incentive. These values of him wanting to be here for the right reasons are aligning with what I've heard from Michael Voss. They're aligning with what I've heard from Brian Cook. So look, so far so good. We seem to have a nice little list together now, and who knows? We'll see what happens. There's still, some time left in this trade period, but really the targets, from what we think, are locked away, and we can. I mean, this is crazy. You and I don't have to sit on a countdown hoping for Papley to come, and only to be disappointed.
Well, I remember that year, and we talked about good clubs. Hawthorn, Richmond do their business early. They get in, they say, I want Tom Lynch, and they go out and buy Tom Lynch. They don't fanny about. Have we just become a good club? Because it seems very different than the nonsense I've seen the last couple of years. They said they were getting Cerra. They said they'd identified him as the next player. And 7th of October, he's already in a Guernsey. He's ready. Which says to me now there's talk with future first. He's been moved to get back in. Start to dream of Josh Rochelle. You add Josh Rochelle to this party, And I tell you what, AFL, more like Carl FL, because it's ours. It's back, baby.
No, I love it. I love it. I'm excited. I'm really excited about it. What about you guys? Let us know in the comments. What did you think of the deal? What did you think of having Adam Cerra in? And how do you picture Adam Cerra fitting into this midfield? What is the actual expectation of him? Is it a numbers game? Is it a style of play? Let us know in the comments below.